Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over some big updates for the car market. Before we get into this video though, as always, if you're going to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And with that being said, let's get into it. So this video is going to be mainly centered around the new car market, but I will talk about the used car market a little bit just to give you all an update on what is currently happening. And some of the information does come from Cox Automotive. So the first bit of data is new vehicle inventory, 2.77 million units as of the beginning of this month. And I can tell you anecdotally, inventory has, in terms of the overall number of units, has slightly increased with most dealers over the course of this month. But the day supply in the new car market is still going down. So it was over 80 days at one point, but now it's down to 72 days for the day supply number. The average listing price hasn't changed, funny enough. Still just over $47,000, and transaction price is just a little bit higher than that with new cars. So what we're seeing is there's more new car inventory available at the same time that the day supply is going down. So that means that new car sales have increased. And we're pretty much seeing the same thing over in the used car market, except used car inventory isn't really increasing. We're just seeing the day supply number go down at the same time that sales are going up, and at the same time that inventory is going down. So used car supply is just getting tighter and tighter as time goes on. And that's my little dive into the used cars. So back to the new cars. There is still a big difference from one brand to the next when it comes to day supply. So we'll start with the brands that have the most amount of inventory, and we'll talk about the ones that have the least amount. So the ones that have 2x industry average or more: Jaguar, Dodge, Ram, Alfa Romeo, and Fiat, the usual suspects. But some other manufacturers that still have quite a bit: Lincoln, 130-day supply; Jeep, 127; Chrysler, 124; Volvo, 122. Let's see if there's any that are really interesting. Mazda, that's an interesting one, 107-day supply. Usually they're pretty tight, but I guess they've got quite a bit. Ford at 97. Again, the average is 72. I'm seeing if there's any others that are kind of interesting in here. Porsche, that's an interesting one. It's at 71-day supply, so Porsche inventory is increasing. That's something I'll have to kind of look into on the side, because Porsche's, again, been sold out for quite some time, but now they have inventory. And then on the low side of things, Subaru, 60-day supply, that's pretty typical. Land Rover, that's an interesting one, 55-day supply, and I'm pretty sure all 55 of those days are Defenders, because I feel like there's just so many Defenders at Land Rover dealerships and pretty much nothing else. Honda, 46-day supply, Lexus, 43, and you guessed it, Toyota, 33-day supply. They are still the lowest when it comes to inventory. And when it comes to Toyota, I'm pretty sure all of their inventory is 2024 Camrys, a few Corollas, and then it's Tundras. Tundras is another one that seems to be a little bit of a slower seller for Toyota. And by the way, Toyota, their numbers just keep increasing. If you watch this channel, you know that I just posted a video talking about how Toyota is probably going to overtake General Motors as the #1 automaker. Maybe not this year, but most likely next year, because GM is going down in volume at the same time that Toyota has ramped things up quite a bit. So yeah, there is still a split in the new car market. And so what this means is with Toyotas, there's not as much negotiating power as there would be with the Jaguar, for example, where there's a ton of inventory. So just know that depending on the brand that you're looking into will determine the ability to negotiate. But I do want to quickly talk about negotiating, because it's gotten better across the board. Dealers now understand that it is no longer a seller's market. It hasn't been for over a year at this point. And they are, not all in accordance, but they're, as a whole, for the most part, starting to act as if it is a buyer's market and not a seller's market. So they're willing to work with people, they're willing to discount, they're willing to, do a little bit of work to get someone as a customer, rather than, just kicking you out the door if you ask for any amount of discount. And so I think that that's something to also take into account when you're shopping for cars. Understand that at this point, the cars are replaceable, but the customers are not. Again, when we have a car market where, yes, volume is increasing and day supply is decreasing, but still, overall inventory amounts are increasing, that shows that the cars at this point are replaceable. Whereas during the pandemic, it was the opposite, where you could find 1 billion customers for one car, but you couldn't find the cars. So just, take that as a note in your mind as you are, navigating the car market at this time. And so this shows a lot of, I would say stability and strength within the car market, despite interest rates still being pretty high, despite the fact that we have an election coming up this year. Like, there's a lot of headwinds going against the car market, and it's still chugging along quite strong. But the last thing I want to talk about is that the car market is not equal in terms of its chuggingness. So the electric car market is still not in a good state whatsoever. Across the board, EV sales are down by like 15% on average. Tesla's down by about 10%. And again, this is at the same time that the new car sales are up by 5%. So there is a gap between ICE cars and electric cars. And this is an interesting gap that the government is trying to fill by forcing more, I shouldn't say forcing, but putting more basically regulations on automakers at the same time that they have that big tax credit. If you don't know, automakers have the carbon credits that they now have to start to navigate around. How it works is if they sell an electric car, they get plus in terms of carbon credits, and then every time they sell an ICE car, they get minus on their carbon credits. And it's a tiered system that will change over time. I need to do a little bit more research on it, but from my base understanding is right now, if you sell an EV, it's like 16 carbon credits or something like that. And if you sell an ICE car, it's -1 carbon credit. And they're eventually going to merge it to where EVs are 1 carbon credit plus, and ICE cars are 1 carbon credit negative for automakers. So we'll see what happens with that whole situation, but it sounds like the Fed is charging automakers $20,000 per carbon credit, if they have to buy one. And, you've got Tesla and Rivian that have all these carbon credits that they're never going to use. And so they might be selling those. There's all this is a thing I have to do another video on, but it's just something else that will surely affect the car market. Maybe not in the short term, but in the medium to long term, I could see some effects with that. So this video was a little bit all over the place because there's quite a bit happening and I'm not making videos as often. But let me know what you think about this whole car market situation. And I guess my piece of advice with the car market right now is, as always, have some patience and understand that there's never going to be a perfect time to buy a car. But right now, with where inventory levels are at and with the mindset of dealers, it's not a bad time to buy a car. Trade-in values are not the best, but they're relatively strong at the same time that dealers are willing to discount inventory, especially old age inventory like 2023s. Some dealers even have 2022s. So there are definitely some big discounts to be had in today's market. So with that being said, see you.